Aloha and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Friends are remembering the man brutally murdered at his home on Hawaii Loa Ridge. Jonathan just spoke with David Dobraz, who gave us new details about the 73-year-old victim.
David, go ahead and tell me how you knew Gary.
I was introduced to Gary about 32 years ago through another friend who knew Gary even longer. Actually, my ex, and we traveled together to Hawaii pretty frequently, at least twice a year, I suppose, for maybe 8 or 10 years. And after that, maybe a little bit less frequently, but I probably traveled and visited Gary in Hawaii almost once a year.
And what kind of guy was he? What kind of guy was Gary?
He was a very, I hate to use cliches, but he was a very gentle person, a very caring person, easy to talk to. He had a very easygoing smile and very welcoming. Always, he was intelligent as well. I mean, he was a lawyer, and had an interest in the arts, and was well read and well traveled. And there's always something interesting that we could talk about when we got together.
And I understand the home in the Hawaii Loa Ridge area was pretty much his dream home. He'd worked really hard for that.
Yes, honestly, I don't know, how he could afford it. I think I know he lost his parents in the years before he moved into that home. But as long as I knew him, he lived modestly. He lived in the Queen Emma Gardens apartments for a number of years. So there were small places, modest places, but he was always very welcoming. When we visited him, he always invited us to stay at his home, and he would drive us places or lend us his car. And he had a inflatable mattress or the sofa that we could sleep on when we visited.
When was the last time you spoke to Gary?
Christmas time, probably right around New Year's. I remember he sent me 2 Christmas cards, because he sent me one card to my old address, and then I got it and I sent him a card from my new address, and then he sent me a second card, and then I called him to talk to him.
23-year-old Juan Theodore Barone was arrested for the gruesome murder of Gary Ruby. He allegedly confessed to the crime and admitted to encasing the victim's body in concrete in an attempt to conceal the crime, according to court documents. At that time, the last time you talked to him there around the holidays, was there any indication of a new relationship budding or any mention of Juan?
No, there was not. No, I mean, generally he would. In fact, I usually ask that question if I talk to him. I'd say, are you seeing anyone? And he didn't say that he was at the time. So, it was very surprising to me. First, of course, knowing obviously now what happened, that Gary was not, would have been he wouldn't have been the kind of person to invite a dangerous person into his home. I feel he was not gullible or naive. As I said, he was well traveled, and and so it really surprises me that someone who is capable of that would become a friend close enough to have been invited into his home. So that's shocking.
Barone remains behind bars in California, where he fled earlier this month, and authorities are working to bring him back to Hawaii, where he is facing second-degree murder and theft charges.
An overnight fire broke out at a 2-story apartment building in the Ala Moana area. Our Sammy Solina is at the scene with new details.
This happened on a very busy street. We're on Rycroft and Piikoi, and you can see that the entire second floor of this building was completely gutted by that fire last night. There was also extensive water damage to that first floor as well. Now, a woman that we talked to said that she actually believed that she started this fire.
I was lit a candle because I was going to take a shower, and my boyfriend was gone, and one little spark went onto my polyester clothes. I saw, and it caught fire. I thought I could put it out with my hand or pour something on it, and then no, I'm blind, so I'm like, I got to get out and let the neighbors know, or get, let 911, call the fire department.
They called 911 just before 9:30. About 50 firefighters were on scene. They had to rescue someone from the second floor, but no one was taken to the hospital. It took about 30 minutes for firefighters to get the flames under control and another 30 to put out the fire completely. Some residents had to be referred to the Red Cross because they couldn't sleep there for the night. They said this was very scary and they rushed out of the building. These folks helped that woman escape.
I heard fire, so I came outside and looked and saw that there was a fire upstairs.
I was scared. Yeah, that was a big flame. It was just coming out really quickly out of the windows.
Most of the damage was to the second floor, and the first floor had water damage. Although HFD says that they're still investigating this fire, that woman that we talked to last night says she's pretty sure she knows exactly what happened. Sammy Solina, Hawaii News Now.
Now, you may have heard about this. With 3 key wells still shut down because of the Navy water crisis, the Honolulu Board of Water Supply is putting out an urgent call for voluntary conservation. The agency said the conservation call is directed at urban Honolulu and the Aiea Halawa areas. The board said it is seeking a 10% reduction in water usage. BWS Chief Engineer and Manager Ernie Lau said the situation has become more serious by recent dry weather, which has pushed up demand. Those wells remain offline, and there's no timeline for bringing them back into service. Lau said to the State Senate yesterday the concern is twofold. Not only is there less available water to pump, but the agency doesn't want to overpump the remaining wells for fear of pulling up salt water that's below the fresh water. Now, that appeared to have happened recently at the Beretania wells, where higher than normal levels of chloride were recorded, an indication that the water is saltier.
This critical shortage that we might have is not just based on a rainfall, it's more long-term than that.
Yes, well, the rainfall influences water use. So with the 3 wells shut down, we have other wells that are not impacted by this crisis right now at Red Hill. So we're pumping those wells harder. But the things that we can control right now, there's only really one thing, is the demand for water. If our customers can reduce the demand for water, we'll make it up by pumping those other wells harder. But if those other wells experience increasing saltiness levels in the water that we're pumping out of the underground aquifer, then we know we have to reduce how much we pump to preserve the quality and integrity of that water source. So then again, it's kind of matching, making sure demand stays within what we can supply right now. There is no moratorium right now. We are evaluating and trying to understand what are the near-term immediate new projects that'll be coming online and how much water they're going to need, what's going to occur maybe in the 3 to 5 year range and 5 years and beyond. Try to understand what the demand or for additional water capacity in these 2 water systems, so we can try to target and see how far can we get along before we have to do the thing that we don't want to do, which is recommend to the board a moratorium.
Ukraine says it has retaken a suburb in its capital of Kyiv that's strategically important. Meanwhile, the U.S. is warning of a significant cyber attack from Russia targeting American infrastructure. Deborah Alfarone has the latest from the White House.
FBI Director Christopher Wray is calling on business leaders to work with the FBI to prevent Russian cyber attacks.
We're particularly focused on the destructive cyber threat posed by the Russian intelligence services. We have cyber personnel working closely with the Ukrainians and our other allies abroad.
The comments come a day after President Biden sounded the alarm.
The magnitude of Russia's cyber capacity is fairly consequential, and it's coming.
Cybersecurity experts tell CBS News they're particularly concerned about potential attacks on the U.S. financial sector, power grid, and water systems. President Biden is also warning Russian President Vladimir Putin could be considering a chemical or biological attack in Ukraine, although the Pentagon says there's no evidence to suggest that such an attack is imminent. During his upcoming trip to Europe, the White House announced the president will join partners in imposing additional sanctions on Russia.
We are prepared and committed to this for as long as it takes.
New satellite images show the magnitude of the destruction in the Ukrainian port city of Mariupol. And in the city of Mykolaiv, doctors cleared the rubble from a damaged psychiatric hospital. But in Kyiv, where a curfew is in effect until Wednesday, officials say Ukraine's military has retaken a strategically important suburb, preventing Russian troops from surrounding the capital city. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, the White House.
Wallets, bank cards, and IDs are just some of the belongings found in the wreckage of a China Eastern Airlines flight, reminders of the 132 lives presumed lost. The aircraft crashed into a remote mountainside in southern China, and rescue workers have been scouring the scene, but no survivors have been found yet. The steep, rough terrain and the huge size of the debris field were complicating the search for the black box, which holds the flight data and cockpit voice recorder.
We've got an update now on that fatal crash on the Garden Isle that killed 2 volunteer pilots. Our Jolani Martinez spoke to some of their colleagues.
76-year-old James Degnan and 78-year-old David Parker, volunteers for the Hawaii Civil Air Patrol, were taking part in a tsunami warning disaster training exercise. We spoke with a colleague who was on the same mission over Molokai.
It's a big loss, and it's certainly going to be felt throughout the CAP community.
Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Ferrara says he's known James Degnan for almost 20 years.
One of the neat guys, I call him the Kauai Mafia, because the guys over there, I used to be the director of operations for Hawaii Wing Civil Air Patrol, and they never once let me down.
He last worked with Degnan remotely Sunday. The two spoke over the phone moments before Ferrara started his own flight.
I'm having a really hard time wrapping my head around, what went on, what happened, what was he going through, and, to lose one of our own is really hard.
This shows the path of the Hawaii Civil Air Patrol aircraft. Flight records say the single-engine Cessna took off from Lehue at 2:30 Sunday afternoon on a clockwise training flight around Kauai. The National Transportation Safety Board reports the plane went down on the northwest side of the island in a remote area a few thousand feet below the Kalalau Lookout.
There were people, I guess, who were in the area of the lookout when they observed the Cessna, I guess, flying lower, and somebody heard what sounded like a crash.
The last crash in the Koke'e area was in 2019, when a safari tour copter hit a mountain during poor weather conditions.
Anytime after 11 a.m., the clouds and the mist start rolling in, pretty heavy with the wind. So naturally, even on a regular day, the afternoons after lunch visibility is usually poor.
Civil Air Patrol works closely with first responders as an all-volunteer organization that partners with the Air Force for emergency response and offers cadet programs and aerospace education.
There are partners when it comes to emergency disaster, like tsunami warnings, missing persons. So, those pilots, those volunteers, those kids, this program is a very respected and valued program.
The NTSB and FAA are investigating the crash. Jolani Martinez, Hawaii News Now.
And we got breaking weather news we need to get to right now as we take a live look outside from our tower cam. Really not much to see here, but there is some action also happening on the Garden Isle right now. A flash flood warning in effect as we talk right now at 12:15. That also, we just learned that Honolulu Bridge and Elementary School are also closed. Again, a flash flood warning in effect right now. That means flooding could happen at any time, so stay cautious out there. To get an update on how the conditions are going to unfold today and the rest of your afternoon and in the days ahead, here's Guy Hoggy.
Tracking this front, right? It's on the move. So we've got scattered showers moving down through the state through this afternoon. Kauai and Oahu in line to get the most rain, although you can see that moisture stretching down to the Big Island by this afternoon. And then it's going to linger around through tomorrow and to some extent even through Thursday. But it's definitely going to be lighter. The rain will be by Thursday. And then as we head into the weekend, we'll just see a few windward and Mauka showers. Nothing significant in terms of rainfall. But today, however, get ready for some spots of heavy rain if you're on Kauai and Oahu. Maybe even some isolated thunderstorms. And again, slowly easing up as we head into the middle of the week. And those trade winds running brisk and breezy. They'll pick up today and they'll run firm all the way through Friday before slightly easing up on Saturday.
Today, Disney World employees are walking off the job to protest the company's response to Florida's new Don't Say Gay law. Blaine Alexander has the latest from Orlando.
This morning, turmoil at one of the most famous companies in the world. Disney, which spans iconic properties from Marvel, ESPN, and Hulu to cruises and parks, including Disney World, now facing a fierce internal debate, with leadership, including new CEO Bob Chapek, working to right the ship as politics rocks the happiest place on earth. Employees are expected to walk off the job today over Florida's so-called Don't Say Gay bill. If signed into law, the bill would ban classroom instruction on sexual orientation or gender identity in kindergarten through third grade. Critics say reversing decades of progress on LGBTQ rights. The Parental Rights and Education Bill has prompted weeks of protests across the Sunshine State. Now, a group of Disney employees urging their colleagues across the country to stage a walkout today, writing in an open letter, "We must now take action to convince the Walt Disney Company to protect employees and their families." The group says Chapek did not do enough to speak out against the bill. Chapek, at the time, explaining,
"Now, we were opposed to the bill from the outset, but we chose not to take a public position on it because we thought we could be more effective working behind the scenes."
In an employee town hall Monday, the company promised a listening tour, a task force, and efforts to oppose similar legislation in other states. The company tells NBC News in a statement, "We know how important this issue is for our LGBTQ+ employees, and we pledge our ongoing support of the LGBTQ+ community in the fight for equal rights." Employee Nicholas Maldonado plans to join his Disney co-workers in the planned walkout.
Once this bill's signed, it's basically forcing people that are LGBT back into the closet.
The frustration is extending beyond theme park gates, including to ESPN, where two broadcasters held a 2-minute moment of silence on air during the NCAA women's basketball tournament over the weekend.
We're going to take a pause from our broadcast to show our love and support for our friends, our families, and our colleagues.
All right, moving on to some other news. Let's get to what the internet is talking about today, and Easter right around the corner. Hard to believe, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's always a Peeps story. Yep, you can customize your Peeps for Easter this year. The Pennsylvania-based company that makes Peeps will let you choose 3 aspects of your Peeps. You can choose the color, yellow, pink, or blue, then select the dip that sits on the bottom half of the chick. The dips are choices of dark, milk chocolate, or white chocolate. Finally, you get to choose the topping, sprinkles, crushed cookies, crushed pretzels, chocolate chips, or toasted coconuts. 6 personalized chicks in 2 boxes cost, get this, $30. $30 for marshmallow candy, guys, plus shipping. Plus shipping on top of that. So, they're available at peepsandcompany.com until supplies run out. And I really thought when I read the headline of that story, it was customized as you could like laser print. You know how like cups of coffee you can laser print your face or something? No, that's lame to me. I'm
Steep
sorry.
Peeps.
Yeah.
Do you like Peeps?
Okay.
Yeah,
They're fine.
I only know one person who likes Peeps, and that's our EP, Anthony.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it last year. Like, the only thing they're really good for is putting them in the microwave and blowing them up. So we'll have to do a demo later.
Yeah. So we love her. The queen of country music may soon be hitting Broadway. Dolly Parton said she's always wanted to do a musical about her life. However, plans had to be put on the side due to the pandemic. Well, now she's focusing on a possible feature film. And if you're wondering who could be cast as Dolly, well, she already has an idea. The legendary singer-songwriter says she would like to see Kristen Chenoweth portray her, calling her, quote, absolutely fantastic. I totally see that.
What's she in?
She was in Wicked.
Oh,
the cute little blonde.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
very peppy. So,
Right there.
Yeah, in addition to planning the possible production, Parton has also become an author. Her first novel, titled Run, Rose, Run.
Great choice.
Yeah.
Awesome Glee.
Yeah, and Tom Hanks now this past weekend in Pittsburgh, the actor and his wife, Rita Wilson, couldn't help themselves but crash a wedding party's festivities. Now, this is not the first time Hanks has photobombed a wedding. A few years back, he took pictures with newlyweds who were getting their photos taken in Central Park. Hanks and Wilson are in Pittsburgh filming a new movie called A Man Called Otto.
Love me some Tom Hanks. He's a great guy. All right, American Song Contest. Told you we're going to talk a lot about it this week. It debuted last night right here on KHNL. And today we're getting post-show reaction from none other than Kelly Clarkson and Snoop Dogg.
Snoop.
Baby, I just think that today was our first show. We were excited. We didn't know what to expect. Nobody did. And I feel like it was above our expectations. Great performances. The show was put together very well. The writing, the backdrops, everything. This is an amazing show. I'm happy to be a part of it. Happy to have
I know, it's so fun.
the
I just
queen,
love that it's
the queen on my
nice to work with
team.
people you love.
Now,
Well, I think because on this show we're not like competing against each other. We're like basically cheering on all these artists that we're rooting for. So it's like it's a more fun vibe. It's more positive. Y'all don't even see like in the commercial breaks, he's out there with the mic like killing it, like in between commercial breaks, singing and rapping. It's just a good time. It literally felt like we were all at a giant party. It's good, even in rehearsals. Like I was saying hi to everybody that was out in their booths and they were getting ready in rehearsals. It's fun. Everybody always sees us as like, oh, we're up here. We're all the same. We all started somewhere and we all started in the same place, especially me specifically. So it's nice to meet all these artists and that they're all different from different parts of the country. And it's really cool about their performances too, is like, it's about the song and how you think this song resonates with you. So that's why you see like with Alexa and K-pop, she got the strings, she got the performance. It's a completely different vibe than you saw with Houston or than you saw with Yam House. Like everybody has like a different vibe for their song. And that's what's so entertaining. And it's live. It's like an award show, like every Monday night. It's awesome.
Every Monday night on KHNL.
Yeah, and Hawaii's rep was not on last night, but here he is to give you a hint on when you might see him.
What's up? People have been asking me if I'm going to be on tonight's premiere of American Song Contest. No. I'm still in Hawaii, and all the shows are going to be live. And I'm not supposed to say, but my episode will be on April 11th. So mark your calendars.
You heard it there, folks.
Yep.
That's Eva Beach's Bronson Varde. The 28-year-old says his sound is influenced by island reggae music known as Jawaiian. You can watch the American Song Contest every Monday, 7 p.m. right here on KHNL.
Also on KHNL tonight, another episode of Young Rock. Don't want to miss that. Also on KHNL, First at 4 with Ashley at 4 o'clock.
See ya.